At Bath Savings, you know us for our exceptional customer service. And that service extends to our secure, online and mobile banking solutions. So you can feel comfortable accessing and managing your accounts wherever you are. And it's all backed by the same personalized customer service from neighbors right here in your community. To learn more about Bath Savings online and mobile banking solutions, visit bathsavings.com. Bath Savings, your neighbor, your bank.
Hager Enterprises, a paving and excavation contractor specializing in all sorts of site work, utility installations, and road construction since 1987.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's another version of High School Hoops. Larry Seidlinger here. My special guest this week is second-year head coach Lindsay Vinyl from the Madomic Valley Panthers ladies basketball team. Lindsay, welcome to the show, High School Hoops.
Thank you. Excited.
Excited. Are you excited for the season coming up?
I am. We're 2 practices in now. Well, tryouts, I guess you can say. So tonight we'll really hit the ground running and get ourselves started.
Okay. You have an interesting opening to your season. You open with Belfast.
Yes.
And then you go right up against the defending state champs, Oceanside, over there at their home. That ought to be interesting.
Yeah. And it's also varsity doubleheader. So it's always, you get both of us together and it's always electrifying. I love coaching. I used to love playing in that atmosphere. And I think just going into it, second game of the season is a little hard, but we'll prep ourselves as best as we can, and why not just get it going right off the bat?
Well, Oceanside is their star, who's been their catalyst for the last 3 years. Bailey Breen is now transferred. She's down south, I understand. How is that going to change the way they look?
They're still going to be tough. I mean, Hoos and Ripley and the younger Mackey girl, they're still very seasoned and they're going to play hard. We'll have the height advantage with my 2 bigs, but other than that, we can't definitely not overlook them. They're still going to be one of our toughest competitors. So their dynamic might be a little bit different, but we'll just have to see what happens with her. I've heard back and forth, she's coming back, she's not coming back. So whatever happens, we'll prepare accordingly for that.
You mean you're not going to call Coach Breen up and say, okay, what's the scoop? Who's your starting 5?
Nope, I'm not. I'll have Richie scout them. I'll scout them and we'll go from there. And so
speaking of Richie, he's kind of like your secret weapon in the background. He's a longtime coach, lots of experience. I'm sure you get lots of maybe unsolicited advice or maybe solicited advice. Talk a little bit to the folks at home about what his role plays on your coaching staff.
So coming into it, he always said, he is my stepdad. So coming into it, he always said that if I ever get a varsity job, he would be there to help me. And like you said, he has been coaching forever. He has so many little things that just you don't even think about, and he's seasoned. He can jump right in. So he's with me at practices, and he really helps the girls with their fundamentals, and we go back and forth. He sends me a bunch of new drills. We can use this quick hitter, or let's do this. Here, I'll print this out. Here, we'll talk about that. So even after practice, we're talking probably on the phone for like a couple hours after practice, before games, just trying to really bounce ideas off of each other. But his knowledge is crazy.
And for you folks at home, we're talking about a longtime assistant at Madomic Valley in both the men's program and the ladies program, Richie Oliver. Lots of experience, coaching experience, and not only on the hardwood, but on the baseball field as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Lindsay, talk a little bit to folks at home about your team this year.
I have a lot of returners. I lost 4 seniors that hurt, but we have a lot of veterans. I have a couple incoming freshmen that are going to see probably some minutes here and there on the court, but mostly they've all been with me now for 2 years, and I have a lot of height. We're a big team. I think my smallest is like 5'6", but my twin towers, I like to call them, Chloe and Claudia, they've gained a lot of experience. We have a very different dynamic than we did last year. Losing Sarah and Haley, their quickness on the defensive end, that's going to hurt us a little bit, but we're going to just refigure and try to figure out what works best for this team. And definitely using our height is going to be our main focus.
Tanya Williamson last year was your go-to scorer. I don't know if she led your team in scoring, but she must have been pretty close. But do you think sometimes you depended too much on her?
Yes. And I think this year we're probably going to have to too. Hopefully we can get somebody else to take the pressure off of her, especially like my bigs. Hopefully we can work with them more. And people know that she's one of the top players in our league. So people are going to be gunning for her. So we have to figure out how to take that pressure off of her. And she's just she's such a good kid, and she knows that she's going to put 100% in anytime that we need her. And
I thought, speaking of your two bigs, because Claudia got some really valuable minutes last year, and I've seen Claudia a lot at the football games this fall and whatnot. We've always talked basketball, but I thought Chloe Fox, the young she was a freshman, I think, last year, coming back, probably coming on, wasn't she, or was she a sophomore?
Sophomore.
Sophomore, okay. I thought towards the end of the season she kind of settled down and maybe played within her ability rather than being helter-skelter. And I'm sure she had a great year in soccer this year playing goalie. I'm sure those skills probably helped with her coordination. And I would think this year she's what, 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2"?
I think she's grown.
I saw her in soccer and she looks. I'm
huge.
looking up to her. So
Yeah.
So do you see her playing back to the basket maybe a little bit this year and dominate that inside game?
That's what we're hoping. We're really working on her low post moves still. I mean, she came a long way, like you said, from her freshman year to last year. Freshman year, she was on the floor a lot. She kind of looked like a baby deer on ice, half the time. And she really came into her own, and she had a lot of solid minutes. So she really gained a lot from last year. And this year, even just the 2 times I've seen her so far, like, she's definitely advancing again. So if we can get her to settle in, sometimes I think mentally when she starts to kind of go the opposite way, but if we can get her to focus in, and really she should be able to dominate underneath the boards.
I would think you would stand some rebounding advantages with Claudia and Chloe both being able to attack the boards in those offensive rebounds and some putbacks.
Yes, definitely. We should be able to. If we box out and they do all the little things that they should be doing, they should have a lot.
So you lost your little point guard, Sarah Nelson, who was kind of spark plug out there and feisty, I think is the best word to describe Sarah. Who's going to step in and take her place?
Well, I'm hoping Sadie. She played really, really well this summer. We talked about how her role is now changing. Sadie Knight, that is. She's going to have to step up, and like, she's a senior now. Her role now is to help take the pressure off Katana and really she's going to see a lot of minutes, and she took that and ran with it this summer. So I'm hoping that, and I guess she played all fall and was really, working on her skills, and I can see that. So hopefully she will. My little freshman, Anna Reed, she has that spark too. She can play defense. And Rachel Richardson, this summer, she came out alive, and she was all over the place, steals and playing how she should play. So if everybody can just step up to that next level, we'll be able to hopefully
You
get
also
that.
have another 3-point shot, 3-point threat there in, I forget her first name, Jackson.
Audrey.
Audrey Jackson, yes. I thought early in the season she shot the ball really, really well last year, tailed off a little bit towards the end. Do you see her stepping
She's
up a little bit this year?
she's coming off of an injury, so she is not 100% as of right now. Her shot looks amazing. She's been shooting, but she hurt her knee, and I think that's what, like, towards the end of the season, it was really bothering her. So she's been doing PT and all that stuff. So if she can get herself back to at least 90% health wise, then she'll be one of our spark plugs for sure. But
Let's talk a little bit around the league. There's no easy nights in this KVAC. Camden is good, Oceanside is good, Lincoln Academy is improving. Uh, both boys and girls basketball along the coast here. The fans at home are going to be for some really excellent high school basketball this year. Talk a little bit about your competition. We've talked about Oceanside, but talk about some of the other schools.
yeah, like you said, there's no easy night. We have to come in and play really good every single night. We can't lay down to anybody or think. We have new teams that we normally don't see in the regular season, and normally we just get them when we are in the tournament. So now we play Spruce regular season, Lake Region regular season. I think Yarmouth got added, Mount Ararat. So things are definitely not going to be a cakewalk for us. We have to come prepared. We did play Spruce this summer, and both games we beat them, but we went into overtime and we were neck and neck. So that's always a tough game. I don't know much about Lake Region. We never played them last year, so we're gonna have to scout them and see them. I know Mount Ararat's decent, it's good, and so yeah, our league is definitely not an easy night at all.
There's no gimmies. And Lake Region was a tournament team last year too, I believe.
Yeah, they played after us against Oceanside, I believe, and I watched a little bit of it, but not enough to obviously get what they're going to be like.
Who's your dark horse team in the league this year that could surprise some teams?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think anybody. I think it's so wide open now that anybody could jumpstart and run with it.
Where Oceanside has dominated really the past 3 years with Bailey Breen and that great group of young ladies that Coach Breen has assembled around her, and they're still going to be very competitive. But do you think they have that decided edge that they had? I mean, when you have a 25-point scorer on the floor, night out, and probably a dozen or 15 rebounds, that's pretty hard to replace. Does that, with Bailey not being there, does that maybe level the playing field a little bit more?
Oh, for sure. It definitely does. I think we're all pretty much even scale right now with, I think, us and them, and Camden's A. So, I mean, we see them, but we won't see them in tournaments. But I think it does definitely even it out a little bit. And like you said, they're still going to be good. Hoos is one heck of a ball player, and so is Ripley. And nobody's going to hopefully, I'm definitely not overlooking them, but I know some people think, oh, Bailey's gone, they're going to be easy. No, it's going to be tough.
The question I always like to ask high school coaches: how has the girls playing, or how is your players playing AAU a lot, summer, spring, fall? How's that affected the way your program? You see the level of play really stepped up or increasing?
I think so. I encourage them to play as long as they're in the gym and they're playing. Then they're working on their skills. When you go to play AAU, you play depending on where you're playing. You play really, really good competition and different competition. You see different things. So I think just them playing definitely increases their skill level. And I don't see they make all, like, they know everybody. So like people will go play and they're like, everybody's talking to each other. So I think it helps with chemistry. There's no like bad blood.
They're old friends coming into the
They're
gym,
all
huh?
friends. They're all after the game hugging each other, and then in a way you kind of like know, oh, this girl, this is what she does. So they kind of have an insight too. Like, oh, I played with this girl. She's really good at shooting threes. So it kind of helps us coaches because they know that like what they're good at and stuff. So I definitely encourage the AAU.
So I got one more question for you before I let you go, Lindsay. How has, since COVID came on, TV, the viewership, live streaming, all the basketball games, how has that helped you as a coach, scouting, teaching, game plan, where you can actually now see a videotape live broadcast? How has that affected the way, or how does that handle whether you coach?
It definitely makes scouting easier. It's hard to get to live games, and especially with coaching like my team and family and all that stuff. So if I can put my kids to bed and get on YouTube or you guys or
LCTV.
yeah, LCTV, NFHS, and I can just pull up whoever and watch a game or watch multiple games. It definitely makes it easier. I can rewind it. I can, if I missed who it was or whatever. So
Do the kids like, do you use it as a kind of a skull session where the kids can watch and you can point out a game
yeah,
day?
so when we get to tournament time, we normally have a team dinner, and then we pull up game film from whoever we're gonna play, or if we have a big game, we'll send out on Team Reach. We'll send out like the clip and be like, watch this. This is what they're gonna do, and then we obviously go over and practice. So it's definitely helped.
It's another tool.
It's another tool,
Another
exactly.
tool. Well,
Yeah.
Lindsay, thank you so much for sitting in for a few minutes here for High School Hoops. It's been a lot of fun. We wish you the best of luck, and LCTV will be over in Badong Valley this in just a few weeks, and we'll be courtside for the whole season.
Perfect.
Lindsay, thank you so much, folks at home. Our next guest was going to be a surprise, and we'll be right back in just a minute. And with me now is second year head coach Cagney O'Brien. She is from the Lincoln Academy Eagles, Lady Eagles. And Cagney, welcome to High School Hoops. Second year, second time around. It's not all new, all different. It's a little more experience. Tell us what your team looks like this year. What are you looking for? Who are your star players?
We graduated 3 seniors, so we have pretty much the same core that we had last year. We have returned 4 starters, so Miriam Delisle, Scarlett O'Brien, Kennedy Anderson, who are all seniors this year, and then a sophomore, Olivia Ball. We also gained a freshman, Izzy B. from South Bristol. She's very much could work her way into the starting lineup very easily for us. She can play any position on the floor, 1 through 5. She can post up. She can shoot the three really well. So she'll be a big impact player for us this year.
You started off last year smoking hot. I think you went like 5-0, 4-0, 5-0, first 4 or 5
Yeah.
games, and then came back to reality. But you still had a pretty decent season. You went 10-8, made the tournament. Those are all really heady accomplishments. First year coach, first year team with a lot of new players.
Yeah, so I actually had the chance to coach these girls in middle school travel ball a couple years. So I was able to know a majority of them. And then I also have the privilege to coach my little sister, which is pretty unique. She's a senior this year. So I've been able to watch all of their games from their freshman year up until I took over last year. So I went into it like knowing, I think, a little bit more than what other people might, stepping into a new role there, just watching them and being able to coach them through middle school. So yeah, it's been a very like learning experience of the girls getting used to me and like a different style of play. But we played Freeport last night actually, and it was like the hardest game they've ever played, and it was just turning like a page towards the right direction.
You
And
got
it
to
was
play
huge.
tough competition if you want to get better.
Exactly.
It doesn't do anybody any good to win by 50 every night.
Exactly. So we may have lost. I think we lost by like 8 or so, but in my book, I told them like this is a win for us. This was a step in the right direction. It looked at what we need to work on, but also what we did really, really well compared to last year.
You go into the season, certainly, I'm sure tournament is your goal, as it should be. But you
Yeah.
play along the mid coast here, and there are no easy nights. You got Madomic is bringing back a strong roster. Oceanside, defending state champion. I don't know if you play Camden this year or not, but their girls program has really come along. There's no easy
Mhm.
nights here.
No, there isn't. We take everything day by day. So we look at our practice and what we need to focus on that day to get better for the next day. So when it comes to competition and games, I try to not focus the girls on so far looking ahead, but focusing on what we need to do right then and there in order to succeed to get us to the next step.
One game at a time, one play at a time.
Exactly.
Your seniors leaders, what are you looking for? Some scorers there?
Yep. So we returned Miriam. She was our leading scorer last year. She averaged about 18 points a game for us, but she also, her and Scarlett led our team in rebounding, assists, steals, and deflections per game. We're a very tiny team compared to most. There's no one over 5'8" on our team. So we use our speed, and that is what we use to our advantage. We're very quick and fast. So we like to press the whole game if we can, when we can, push the ball up the floor. We like to play fast, but not in a hurry. So understanding the difference of pushing the tempo, but not playing too fast out of
Out of
our
control.
route.
So you have your junior there who's pretty partial to us here at LCTV, Miss Maggie Thompson. She's done a lot of
Yeah.
camera work for us. She's a lot of fun. She's pretty athletic too.
She's super athletic. She's one of the fastest kids on our team. And she is just a defensive little pest, I call her. Her hands are everywhere. And once she gets a steal, it's she's
She's not
going.
afraid to leave any DNA on the hardwood either, is she?
No, no, she works super hard every time she goes in.
Your underclassmen, you got a JV team this year.
Yep, we do have a JV team. So this year we have four residential students on our team who have never played basketball before, but are athletic and are figuring it out really quickly. And then we have a few returners from that were freshmen last year. And then we have a few kids that came out as sophomores and juniors that didn't play in the past few years, but decided they want to play this year. So we have about I think we have 27 in the program total between JV and
Good numbers.
varsity.
Good
Yep.
numbers for basketball. Any of your kids playing AAU ball in the summer, in the spring and
Um,
fall?
a few of them do, not a whole bunch, but a few, yes.
Who do you see as your dark horse team along the coast here or on your schedule? Didn't surprise
Definitely
you.
surprise us. Um, we play a harder schedule this year, which I wanted. So Madomic is always going to be hard for us. In both on the court, but like in our heads too. We've been working on like trying to mentally prepare for that game better. And then we play Spruce Mountain this year, which will also be another big test for us as well. And then we play York. We go to York. So we play a lot tougher competition, which I'm super excited about to push the girls. So they realize how good they can be.
Well, it's only just, I don't know, second, third, fourth game in, but it's pretty early in the season. You're going to see that Madomic team over at Madomic.
Yes. Yep.
That's always a fun atmosphere, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Playing there, I know how it can be. So I try to prepare the girls as much as I can the day before in practice, trying to make the environment super loud and just pushing them so that when they walk into a loud environment, they aren't like stunned by it almost. So we just try to create a game like atmosphere for every gym we're going to play in. So our practices are always super loud. Day before games, if we need to play like music to just kind of distract from for outside noise and such like that, we will just to create a competitive environment, but not so they walk into a game and they're not used to playing in that environment.
I understand that the Breen girl from Oceanside has transferred back to Oceanside. That's going to be an interesting matchup for you again this year.
Yes, it will be. Again, we are undersized, but last night I think showed our sophomores this year, excuse me, just how physically strong they actually are and can be. And so I think them having a year underneath their belt of varsity basketball, they're a lot more comfortable this year, and more willing to step into being just physically dominant and strong inside.
What do you think are going to be the keys to the Lady Eagles' success this winter as we get through? It's a long season. You got to stay injury free, stay
Yeah.
focused. Those practices in January, late December, early January, they get long and tedious sometimes, but they're necessary to stay focused. How do you keep your team up for all that?
Um, we really have been working this year on not only stuff on the court, but also team bonding off the court. So this year, that was really important to me, as last year, I felt that there was like a disconnect between the girls off the court, which then led to our play on the court and in practices. So we just have like brief meetings every Monday to try to check in with one another, see how we're all doing, just try to be with each other mentally, but also physically on the court as well. And I tell them at the beginning, like, this is the longest sports season in high school. It's a long 4 months that you're playing. It's not short. So just making sure we're taking care of our bodies, when we can, taking rest days when we can, and just really like diving into the mental health side of it, as long as taking care of our bodies so that we can, be healthy and play and perform for 4 months of the year.
It's interesting you say that. Talking with longtime coach DePatsy from Adomic, he mentioned the fact that the kids on his team, and it's how much more fun it is to coach a team, that they like each other and they get along with each other and they cover each other's backs. And there is no I in team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last night, in our game, we definitely saw it. Like, our bench was just, it was so, they were so loud. You would have thought that Lincoln Academy was packed because they were so loud and just cheering on one another. And that's something we didn't have last year. And you could tell it just motivated the girls that were on the court at the time. Like, okay, my teammates trust me out here, my bench trusts me, my coach trusts me. And it was just huge to see. And I told the girls after the game, like, no matter what your role was tonight, everyone had a positive impact in that game. And
So important.
it's just so important this year for our success.
Lincoln Academy's got one of the smaller courts now. 50 years ago, when I went there, it was one of the more elaborate courts. How does that smaller court play into your advantage? Do you think teams come in there, especially teams that really like to get out and run, or they may have a challenge with that smaller court?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to our advantage that many teams aren't used to, where they practice in like bigger gyms. And then, we're kind of right on top of them, right there on
Crowd
the
is right on top of
court.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is something that, I've have heard before, like whether back when I was in high school playing or hearing people now, like it's just a hard gym to play in. And it's something we have to use to our advantage at points. But I think it motivates our girls a whole lot more. Just being loud and having the fans right there and having us right there. I think it's an advantage to us that we tend to capitalize on because we're used to it. But, just some teams aren't used to it.
Well, certainly, I think last year was a really great turning point. Your boys did very, very well, and the girls came along. Their program certainly turned around, and you had a full house almost every night at the gym. And like you say, the audience right on top of the of the play certainly makes a difference.
Hmm. For sure.
Do you think the way the officials call a game is a little different on a smaller court than a bigger court?
Mm, I don't think so. I think maybe, but it is. I haven't had like I haven't had any issues, like noticed a big difference in it.
One thing
Maybe
on a
other,
smaller court, you don't often see three officials.
no, we usually don't have three officials. We usually have two.
Do you think that affects the play any when you have three officials?
I think it can, because sometimes, they're in different positions than if you have three refs. So they might miss a call here and there, but very thankful that we do have enough to at least have two officials, as there has been a shortage in years past. So
Do you in your offensive set, do you look for the 3-point shot? Because that is so prevalent in high school basketball today, even on the ladies' side of it.
yeah, we have some stronger shooters. So a couple of them will look for it, but we look to work it inside before we look for the outside shot.
My last question for you, Cagney, it's a little bit of a loaded one. How does having the advantage, the ability to have the girls watch the TV broadcast affect the way you coach, or the way that they look at the game?
So we started last year, we started breaking down and watching film. So I think being able to see how you play is so, so important for these kids to understand what they are doing right, but also what we need to adjust. And there were multiple times last year where we would have practice and it would be a half an hour of film, and then we'd go and work on those one or two things, and then break it down in the gym to see what we need to adjust. And I told the girls at the beginning of the year that film is just as important as a practice.
That's how did they take that?
They like it. They like it a lot. Like, we sit in a classroom, I have them watch, maybe we watch themselves or you watch a different teammate, and I have them write down 2 or 3 things that they did right and something that they need to adjust, so that the teammates aren't just getting feedback from myself and other coaches, but they're getting it from their teammates. And they're also getting praise from their teammates as well.
That's good stuff. When you can see what you did wrong, whether you think you did it wrong or not, the video doesn't lie.
Exactly.
The coach was right. I did miss that box out.
Yeah.
I did make that double dribble. I did travel.
Yeah.
Cagney, thank you so much for sitting in for this episode of High School Hoops, along with Coach Lindsay Vinyl from Madomic Valley. This has been a great wrap up. Lindsay, Cagney, thank you so much for sitting in with us, and good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
Okay, folks at home, we ask you to join us every Monday night, as we'll have High School Hoops. I'm not sure who we got next week, but maybe somebody that wears the stripes might be sitting in with me. So I haven't got that wrapped up, but thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
At Bath Savings, you know us for our exceptional customer service. And that service extends to our secure online and mobile banking solutions, so you can feel comfortable accessing and managing your accounts wherever you are. And it's all backed by the same personalized customer service from neighbors right here in your community. To learn more about Bath Savings online and mobile banking solutions, visit bathsavings.com. Bath Savings, your neighbor, your bank.
Hager Enterprises, a paving and excavation contractor specializing in all sorts of site work, utility installations, and road construction since 1987.